The Rewind
Sports 60. From the city of big shoulders, the jewel of the Midwest, comes a sports show that's one of a kind. From iconic players to iconic stadiums to iconic teams, this is my kind of town. Chicago! And the Rewind Sports 60 is my kind of show. From Air Jordan to Sweetness to Papa Bear Hallis, this city works hard, but plays even harder. Danny Carlino and Jerry Riles bring you the Rewind Sports 60. Live. The Rewind Sports 60 starts now.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're broadcasting from the illustrious studios of WCPT 820 AM in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago in the great neighborhood of Jefferson Park. This is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Yours truly, Jerry Riles. Danny Carlino has been MIA, missing in action. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But Danny, if you're out there listening, stay safe, stay well, take care of yourself, take care of your family. But I'm telling you, once this COVID-19 pandemic hit us back in March, once it hit us, Danny Carlino say, hey, and those of you on the south side would appreciate this. He said, I'm out like a let-out couch. For you on the north side, that's like a sofa bed. Okay? But Danny Carlino said, I'm out like a let-out couch. I'm not going to let this COVID-19 get me, man. I'm not going to do it. So, Danny, if you're out there listening, I'm sure you are, stay safe and stay well, for sure. Jerry Riles, along with the one, the only, the marvelous one, Dan Marver in our TR60 Studios, WCPT. How are you, Danny?
I'm fine. I'm doing great. Another beautiful day in Chicago. According to my calendar book, I was at the Red Sox-Cubs game at Wrigley Field today. First time the Red Sox have been there in 6 years, so it's going to be 6 more now.
That's for sure. Hey, man, listen, baseball is in the air. Unfortunately, it's not on the diamond. It's not at the ballparks, but it's definitely in the air, and we'll find something out maybe by the end of the night. Maybe we'll find something out during the show.
Yeah. But, well, thank God the DH will be universal. The Cubs are all set with Schwarber.
Well, that's if everything. This is a real big stickler, and we talked about it, and a lot of people across the country have joked about it somewhat. Right. Frustration is in the air regarding what's going on with baseball, and some have said, hey, it's the owners against the players. Yeah. The billionaires against the millionaires. And the players have said, hey, you know what? We just want to play.
Well, with anywhere between 15% and whatever unemployment, I don't think the general public will have much sympathy for that.
No, they will not have any sympathy for that whatsoever. And Rob Manfred, the commissioner for Major League Baseball, today, and happy Father's Day, by the way, to all of you fathers out there. All of you out there. It's your day, and I want you to enjoy your day, especially those of you who are taking care, of the next generation, taking care of your family, taking care of your kids, and even taking care of the young generation in the neighborhood. Happy Father's Day to all of you out there, and you beautiful women in the lives of these beautiful men who are standing up and standing upright and doing what they're supposed to do. Commend them and take care of them.
I agree. Enjoy your barbecues. Thanks for listening to us while you're barbecuing in the garage.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Danny, I love you. Marva, I love you.
Yeah, just don't burn the house down.
I was about to say, how many people are barbecuing in their garage?
I don't know. I thought because of the pandemic they'd be burning.
You're not sharing any. No. You're not sharing anything with the class, are you?
No.
Yeah. I don't think, if by chance you happen to have the idea to barbecue in the backyard, I'm here to tell you, a public service announcement, don't do it. Okay. Don't do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Go in the backyard, go in the driveway, but don't do it in your garage.
Okay.
Can you share real quick with the audience as far as what you don't want to?
No, I mean, I've actually seen people do it. I haven't personally. Yeah.
You've actually seen people barbecuing in their garage.
Well, like in the very front part, Not.
No, I don't know.
Okay. By the door, let's say. By the door where the car goes in. I've seen it, honestly.
Who would do that? Why would you do that?
What if it's raining, let's say? I don't know.
Wait a minute. You've actually seen people barbecue in their garage because of inclement weather.
I actually have.
Did you call the fire department and say, hey, be on the lookout?
No, I figured that the flames would speak for themselves.
So the flames are one thing. The smoke is another thing.
Asphyxiation, yes.
Why would you even consider? Hey, listen, we don't want you to do that. There's no question about it. We don't want you to do that.
Okay, we'll follow safety protocols.
Yeah, please do that. Be smart about what you're doing.
At least have ventilation.
And it's interesting. I tell people to be smart, and you think that common sense is common these days, but unfortunately, it's not. And this is a political station. It's not a political show, although we do talk politics. But common sense appears to be out of the window. It certainly does. And the unfortunate thing is our fearless leader, and he is fearless because he'll say anything out of his mouth and he doesn't give a rat's ass what anybody says. But our fearless leader, he has taken common sense, the lack thereof, to another level. It's unbelievable, in my opinion, how people buy into the propaganda that this guy sells every single day. It's unbelievable to me.
Well, I think masks have become optional.
When you tell people it's okay to drink some disinfectant, some bleach, or Clorox or whatever, and it'll get rid of the virus, the coronavirus, and people actually really look into it to say, hey, you know what? The president said we can do that. Dude, that's scary. And I thought people had common sense. I mean, just common sense. Like if you tell a kid, hey, at the stove, you're talking about barbecuing in the backyard, right? Or in the garage. Yeah. The stove is on. You learned this as a kid. The fire. Your mom, your dad, your uncle. Don't touch that fire because it's going to burn. And the little kid is so curious, like, it's not going to burn. Yeah. And then you go, the dad, the mom, the uncle leaves out of the room, right? Leaves out of the kitchen. And the little kid does what? Goes over to the stove. It's not going to, I want to see it. It's like really attractive. It's really bright. Yeah, I like it. And puts his finger in the flame and it burns it.
That's how you learn.
That's how you learn. But for some reason, these people I don't understand it. It's like they haven't learned that lesson. There are people inquiring about drinking bleach, disinfectant to get rid of coronavirus. Mm-hmm. That's not, first of all, this guy made the comment out of his mouth. He said this. And then people started to buy into it. And then they had to backtrack and say, well, you guys know the story. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get off, but it's just unbelievable to me.
That's actually old news now.
Yeah, it is old news. It is old news. Now he said, hey, the numbers are going up. Yeah, because we got more tests. So I told my people, stop testing. The numbers will go down.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
That's simple math.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We got a great show on tap for you. We want you to be a part of it. Our number here is 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. The 17th letter of the alphabet, Q, Quentin Demps, is on break, along with Lauren Cox, who's celebrating. They're celebrating Father's Day. Of course, Q, happy Father's Day to you. And Lauren, happy Father's Day to your father and your family, and enjoy your day off, and we'll definitely see you next week. But there are some business still taking place as far as sports. The sports world is concerned, and Major League Baseball is at the forefront. The National Football League, they had a bump in the road. Major League Baseball had another bump in the road. There's a lot that's going on, and we were hoping to get back to normalcy as far as the sports world was concerned, sometime in July and, of course, in August and September. But coronavirus, it takes no prisoners. I'm telling you, it just comes. It comes. It's like a thief in the night, and it comes after you, and it's definitely been plaguing the world of sports. But Major League Baseball, they're going back and forth as far as the owners and the players are concerned. The players are saying, hey, tell us when, tell us where, and we're ready to go. The owners like, hey, not so fast. Not so fast. We got to iron some things out. We got to work some things out. Meantime, the clock just continues to tick and tick and tick and tick. And it seems as if, Marvelous.
Yeah, they were getting close. They were supposed to have a vote today, but
Yeah.
now they had some breakouts of the coronavirus outbreaks in training camps, so there was no vote today. So it's still up in the air.
Well, the latest was Rob Manfred had a call with the owners earlier today on Father's Day and said, hey, listen, we got to make something happen. It's just looking bad from a PR perspective. It's looking really, really bad for Major League Baseball. In particular, it's looking bad for the owners because of the amount of, first of all, the revenue that's being lost, but the fact that the owners, their feet appear to be stuck in the ground and like, we're not going to budge. Whereas the players are saying, hey, you know what? We just want to get out there and play. We want to get out there and play. And Rob Manfred, basically in a nutshell, said, hey, listen, to the owners, you got to come up with something. We had a work stoppage before a few years back. You got to come up with something that's feasible to the American public and to the world to show that you're working together with the players to try to resolve this issue. Because if we lose this season, it's going to be very, very difficult to rebound from this. And so that's what I was expecting and hoping to hear something before the end of the day, because as we talked about, time is of the essence and the clock is ticking. And if baseball is not played without a fair attempt to try to get back out there, Marvelous. Yeah. It's been around for over 100 years, no question about it. It's going to be very, very difficult to bring the game back to the fans.
Watching the Korean baseball on ESPN hasn't done it for me, but I did see that Addison Russell signed a Korean contract yesterday.
Yeah, he certainly did. He did. He's on his way back, just a little bit more than $500,000.
Yeah, $530,000.
Yeah, and of course, congratulations to the Mount Carmel product out of Chicago South Side.
Right.
Ed, what is it? Ed Howard?
Yeah, signed with the Cubs.
Signed with the Chicago Cubs. What, $3.65 million, something like that. So congratulations to the young man, and I know the White Sox and the Sox fans were looking forward to having him play on the South Side, but he said, hey, whoever selects me in this past draft, I'll love them if they love me.
It appears that if they do play, they're going to be regionalized with the Cubs, Sox, Cardinals, Brewers, all be together in one division, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll certainly see what happens. Folks, on our TR60 hotline, he is definitely a friend of the program. You've heard him before. And, hey, if you're long in the tooth like yours truly, Jerry Riles, and, of course, the marvelous Dan Marvin, you've seen him pitch for your beloved Chicago Cubs on the north side back in the day. He's on our TR60 hotline. He's the one, the Hall of Famer, the only. He's Ferguson Arthur Jenkins. Fergie, how are you? Welcome to the program.
I'm fine, guys. How you doing?
Hey, man, you know what? We're doing as best we can. We're in, what phase is this now, Marvelous? Phase three? We're in phase 3 of this pandemic that has rocked this world way back in March, and we're slowly but surely crawling out of that dark hole that's been presented for us for, the past few months. And hopefully, we can get into the coast is clear, so to speak. But we're doing well for the most part. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just staying home. Watching the news, looking at incredible things going on in the world. It's really unfortunate that the world is suffering the way it is, and people are getting punished for it.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and that's one reason we wanted to have you on the program, Fergie, and talk with you. Obviously, with what's going on with Major League Baseball, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper than that. For the simple fact, as an African American male playing in these United States, during the time that you were playing in the civil rights movement, the late 60s and the early 70s, you've seen your share of protests. You've seen your share of bigotry. You've seen your share of racism. You've seen, I would imagine, the full gamut. I want you to share, a story or two with our listeners here in Chicago and around the world who may be listening online or streaming live on Facebook Live. If you can share some of the stories that you experienced as a professional athlete playing for a great franchise in the Chicago Cubs, but in your travels from city to city during the regular season back during the 60s and the early 70s, what was life like for you and some of the other African-American ball players on the team, i.e. Ernie Banks and Billy Williams, along with Ferguson Jenkins?
Well, I had more of my experiences happening in the minor leagues when I was with the Philly organization. I signed in 1962 and played in Miami, which was Class D ball, the lowest rung on the ladder. And there was 4 players of color on the team. A fellow named Green, Reno Garcia from Cuba, Alex Johnson from Michigan, and myself from Canada. And we had a troubleshooter who's come in from time to time. Freddie Mason was his name. And he kind of gave us the riot act of where we could eat, where we could go. We could go to Miami Beach. So we lived on Biscayne Boulevard. But, we ate in certain places. I lived in a Cuban neighborhood, which was biracial, and players of color and people of color. And I didn't have any problem, except when we went on the road. We had to give our money to the white players if we stopped halfway from Miami to St. Pete or Tampa to have these fellas buy us our lunch or whatever and bring it back on the bus. But those things were something that happened in the minor leagues. The other story was when I basically got promoted to AAA with Dick Allen and Marceline Lopez and Richie Kittle. Another time, 4 players of color. Dick Allen bought a car in Little Rock, and they pasted that car full of different propaganda, whatever. I call it hate situations. But and Dick was going to quit. He was going to quit baseball and go home back to Pennsylvania. And his mother and a bunch of other people convinced him to stay. And he ended up being the most talented player on that Little Rock Ball Club, and got promoted to the big leagues that following year.
You know what? That's a great story, because I know a lot of Chicago longtime White Sox fans on the South Side are happy that Dick Allen took the advice of his family and his mother and stayed in the game of baseball, because he had quite a illustrious career on the South Side playing for the Chicago White Sox. And he was an incredible specimen as far as athletes were concerned and a baseball player was concerned. My late brother, who's no longer with us, but when he was alive and he was watching, that's how I got into the White Sox. Dick Allen was actually his favorite ball player. And Fergie, one reason he was a favorite of my brother, along with a lot of African American kids back during that time, was the fact that, and you can recall this, Dick Allen would be in the dugout at Comiskey Park, the old Comiskey Park, the real Comiskey Park, and his biceps were like tree trunks, right? I mean, this guy was a physical beast, and he would have the sleeves on his jerseys ripped so you could see his biceps, and he would wear that batting helmet, I think sometimes even in the field, but he would crush the ball, and he's only one of, I think, 3 players to hit the ball out of the double deck old Comiskey Park, and the rumor has it that it landed on the Dan Ryan Expressway. But what we loved about him is the fact that he'd go into the dugout and he'd smoke up a cigarette. He'd light a cigarette after crushing the ball, and he'd light up the cigarette. And he was kind of like a no-nonsense guy, but he was beloved on the South Side, and in particular by the black community, because of his alpha demeanor, so to speak. And so we're glad definitely that he played on the South Side with the Chicago White Sox. What else can you share with us? Because again, you pitched during the civil rights era, and we know, of course, what Bill Russell did back in the day with the Boston Celtics during that time. Of course, the great late Muhammad Ali and his stance, Jim Brown, what he brought to the table regarding fighting, for equal justice way back in the 60s during the civil rights movement. What was it like for Ferguson Arthur Jenkins pitching in Chicago during that time?
Well, I was very fortunate enough to have some real early success. And people really enjoyed watching me pitch, and I had a lot of followers. I think the nice thing about it is I played all-day baseball in Chicago, which was outstanding for the Cubs. Mm-hmm. Be up early, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and go to the ballpark with Billy Williams or George Altman, and have to be there, dress on the field at 9:15, and play the game, which was really, really exciting for me. Trying to prove myself to the Cub organization that I was worthy to be a major league ball player. The only one incident that Billy and I, and it was, I think it was maybe '68, when they had the Weathermen and a bunch of different Black Panthers acting up downtown Chicago, where Mayor Daley told the police force to run these people through Grant Park to the water. And after a ball game, Billy and I actually seen that happen, which was not amusing, but when you see people getting almost stomped to death by horses, you learn soon enough that Mayor Daley didn't mess around.
Yeah, no, the original Mayor Daley, he did not mess around, and it's that's a long history and that's a long story in its own right. But when you look at that experience and what happened back during that time, and we fast forward to what's currently taking place here in this country and around the world regarding all the protesting and the Black Lives Matter movement, do you see a lot of similarities, and what differences do you see in comparison between the civil rights movement and the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I played ball in the minor leagues, and Macon, Georgia was a tough place to play. Knoxville, Tennessee, Palatka, Florida. I think because of the fact that the Bill of Rights hadn't been passed yet. This was in the early 60s. Mm-hmm. So any kind of protest that happened, especially with students or people of color, you were going to get radicalized either by the police force with dogs or with billy clubs, and you just stayed out of the public areas. I mean, I felt safe at the ballpark, but there were a lot of times that people would let you know who you were because they didn't like you. But some of the minor league ballparks had chain link fence, so the fans are right on top of you, and they're really, really angry for no reason whatsoever, just because of the color of your skin. Yeah.
Well, what about this young generation? I don't know if they call them Generation X or Generation whatever the generation it seemed like they have taken the bull by the bull horns and say, hey, you know what, we're not going to take this anymore. And I was a young lad, back during the 60s when all of that happened here in Chicago and around the country. I remember, apartheid, when we were asking for corporations to divest their money out of South Africa because of the atrocities that were taking place there. But me personally, I've never seen a movement with this momentum and magnitude worldwide for as long as it's going on. What do you think about these young people taking matters, so to speak, in their own hands? Because that's how movements happen, and that's how protests happen with the younger generation. But this one, they seem a little bit more determined to succeed. How do you see it?
I think it's just as you said, a movement. People are sick and tired of having so many people get radicalized from Hispanics, Japanese, black, white, you name it, because of the fact that the police force has a lot of power. Mm-hmm. They have ultimate power, and to have people get killed now, you have a recorder on your phone, and people are recording everything that's going on. So now all this stuff, even though police have their own recordings on their shoulder or in their vehicle, now people are seeing this. They're not standing for it anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, too many people have gotten shot. What is it, the saying, death by cop, or death by police force. And unfortunately, people have had enough, and now you're having all these different groups get together, and they're just campaigning. And every city, I think it was like 126 or 28 cities, were having marches, and it's just letting the country know, and it's also worldwide, letting the country know that we got to stop this. If we're going to try to live together and do things that should be common sense, we got to change things.
Yeah, Fergie, this is Dan Marver in the studio here. You're absolutely right with the advent of cell phones. That's changed everything. I can't believe that when people are being filmed doing things, that they continue doing them. I mean, that's unbelievable. You know, they talk about how to change things. You got to maybe get into politics. Weren't you involved in some election in the mid-'80s up in Windsor, though? Didn't you try to get into politics?
Yeah, I was there, Windsor Riverside. I ran for the Liberal Party. I was a parachute candidate. My dad was born in Windsor, so I ran in the U.S. side. And it was interesting for almost 3.5 months campaigning, going house to house, factories, and telling people that I was running for the Liberal Party. And soon enough, you found out who was casting the ballots, who liked you and didn't like you. Or they just wanted to see a sports celebrity, try to run and get into politics. And I enjoy it. I was a distant second, but it was just an eye-opening experience to have people come up to me, shake my hand, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I ran on the Liberal Party. We were trying to improve highways, I think elderly establishments, and I think one other. I'm trying to think, new school boards. So, and it took me a little while to study all these different situations and different things that I was trying to represent, and it opened my eyes to what politics was all about.
We're on with the Hall of Famer, former Chicago Cubs hurler. He is Fergie Jenkins on our TR60 hotline at Rewind Sports 60 WCPT 820 AM. So, Fergie, with your political aspirations a few decades back, maybe we need to bring you to the forefront and get you in the negotiating table and figure this thing out as far as this current Major League Baseball situation is unfolding, because fans, we're eager to get our sports back. There's no question about it. Of course, we want everyone to be safe, and we want everything to be properly in place to move to the next phase, so to speak. But right now, it's the owners against the players, and the players will say, hey, you know what? Just tell us when and where. We're ready to get back to playing. But right now, it seems like the owners are like, we don't want to shell out more money for this shortened season and expanded playoff roster. We still got to figure things out. But the unfortunate thing, Fergie, is the fact that the clock is ticking and you're running out of time. How do you size things up, and what do you think is the best solution for everyone?
Well, the biggest thing is time. And this pandemic we're going through, people are coming up with the virus. They're getting tested, and they're testing positive. It's now June the 20th. I'm pretty sure the 20th. No, 21st.
21st, yeah.
If they go to spring training, which spring training is almost canceled now, they've closed all the different sites in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
They just closed Houston and Florida, and also the Phillies and Clearwater, because of players coming down with the COVID-19. And I think the virus is really scaring people, and they don't want players to get sick. Can you imagine a top player getting put on a ventilator and being put in the hospital for months and months at a time, and then maybe not being successful of surviving? That could be the worst. I know that football, basketball, hockey, everybody would like to see sports back the way it was. But as of right now, it's not going to happen because people are scared. I believe they're scared.
Fergie, in baseball, some of the managers are probably over 65 and have immune deficiencies, and then you have like Lester and Rizzo who have had cancer. So there's a lot of people that might be afraid to get exposed.
Oh, definitely. I just think that safety first is the way to go, and it was going to take at least another month for players to get back in shape. And then you got the isolated incidents where they can't stay together. There's no fans in the stands. Just now, I'm in Texas. They're just now having people eating in restaurants, or they're eating in patios. I go to a grocery store on the weekends to shop, a service station, go to Circle K, and I put a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I leave the house, I put a mask on. And that's what's going to happen. It'll be kind of tough for players to play with masks on, and even the coaches are even sitting on the bench, and you got to be 6 feet apart. benches aren't big enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Won't be able to hold a runner.
Lining up the third and first base line because there's not enough room in the dugout.
Right. Won't be able to hold a runner out at first base. You know?
But Fergie, they're playing in
right.
they're playing in Korea. I mean, they got the fake crowd out there, the cardboard cutouts and everything. They're playing baseball in Korea. Addison Russell just signed a deal. I mean, it seems as if, you know, if they take the proper precautions, that the game can move forward. But to me, it's more than just this shortened regular season, 2020 and the playoffs. This goes beyond this season into 2021. And it seems like that's where the real bargaining stalemate is taking place. Am I off base or a little off on that assessment?
No, you're pretty much right. I think they got to come up with a serum that's going to combat what this virus is all about. And people want to be safe. People don't want to go to a ballpark and be sick. People that, instead in a crowd, that 6 foot distance or better is something that is very interesting. You can play with a mask on, you can play with a screen, but you don't want, and it's dangerous because of the fact that it's communicable. People talk to one another, and who knows, got the virus, who doesn't have it. And let's hope, as I said, no athlete really gets really sick, because doctors are not curing a lot of these things. People are dying. Mm-hmm. Almost 200,000 people have died from this virus right now. So it's tough.
Yeah, it certainly is tough. Is there anything you'd like to share with our audience to let them know what's going on with Ferguson Jenkins during this time?
Well, spring training was almost over when they called it off, and I tried to sell my house in Arizona, and now I'm living in Texas. And I've been in Texas here for almost 3 months, staying close to home. And you know what's nice? I told myself, I'm going to stay close to home. I'm going to buy 2 dogs, which I have. I bought a Lab and a German Rottweiler, and they're 15-week-old puppies. And I'm raising these dogs right now. I'm going to train them. One's going to be a house dog, and one's going to be a bird dog. And that's keeping me busy right now. I'm just staying close to home and doing my thing.
Well, you know what, Fergie, you're a great humanitarian, a great individual, and you're still beloved in the greatest city in the world as far as sports and anything, Chicago, Illinois. And it's always a pleasure and an honor to get an opportunity to chat with you and catch up with you and just reminisce down memory lane and just make sure that old Ferguson Arthur Jenkins is doing okay. And before we let you go, man, I got to ask you, can you share with the listening audience, maybe the younger folks who may not be familiar, when they hear the term the white rat, the white rat, what are you referring to when you make that rat comment? Yeah.
The late Andy Semenick was my first manager in Class D ball, and he called the baseball the white rat. He said, you got to be more intelligent than the rat and make it do what you want it to do. Make good pitches, make good decisions, and the rat will take care of itself.
And for you, it certainly did. Hey, Fergie, real quick, before we spring you.
Pretty good.
Hey, real quick, I wanted you to say hello to a longtime iconic figure in the Chicagoland area as well. He's in the political world, and he's on our TR60 hotline. Congressman Danny Davis, welcome to the Rewind. How are you?
I'm doing great,
Danny
and
Davis, how you doing?
Say hello to Ferguson Jenkins. Say hello to Ferguson Jenkins, Congressman.
I'm a big Fergus Jenkins fan. I always did like those good right-handers who could throw that ball. Yes, indeed. Fergie, it's so good to hear you and know that you're doing well. Thanks for all the thrills that you gave to us in Chicago when you were out there on the mound. I go way back, and so you were an outstanding player and a gentleman as well. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, I enjoyed my time. The 10 years I played and the coaching time I had there was a lot of fun. Chicago's my second home for sure.
Hey, Fergie, you're always welcome here in the greatest city in the world. We love you. Stay healthy, and we'll talk to you down the road. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk some baseball in the next few weeks, okay?
Let's hope so. Yeah, keep your fingers crossed.
Take care, Fergie.
Nice talking to you.
On our TR60 hotline, Ferguson Arthur Jenkins, and we're pleased to welcome to the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT 820 AM. He is Congressman Danny Davis on our hotline. Congressman, how are you? Welcome, and happy Father's Day to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm having a great day. It's been wonderful, and I've had lots of telephone calls and well wishes and aftershave lotion.
Well, it's well deserved, Congressman. It is well deserved, and we appreciate you picking up the phone and joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. This is a sports show, but there's not much sports to talk about. We're waiting to see what's going to happen with baseball. The pandemic has hit the National Football League as well as Major League Baseball, and so we're still trying to see if the National Football League is going to get underway. We were hoping to see the Bears back in camp in mid-July, and we were hoping for a regular season come this fall, but with this pandemic just taking no prisoners, Congressman, we talk sports, real life, entertainment, and politics. But on this Father's Day, we wanted to reach out to you and see how you were doing. And I was just wondering, Congressman, you were giving out certificates this past weekend for great fathers around the Chicagoland area and particular communities, and I didn't get my memo. I didn't get my certificate. What happened? Tell us about it.
We did more than 200, and it's a fascinating kind of thing. And of course, I represent the White Sox, the Bulls, the Red Wings, and the Black Wings, and the Black Hawks, the Bears. All of them are mine, except the Cubs are a little out of my area. But all of the other professional sports teams in Chicago, I represent in my congressional district. So sports is a big part of everything that we do. We look forward to the seasons being reopened, and it's going to be a great year. We just have to. The University of Illinois is working on a vaccine. They're doing clinical trials right now. They're mine too, and so we're looking forward to good stuff.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's fascinating. We, for the last 8 years, have been taking children to the Sheridan Penitentiary to see their fathers so that they can stay connected with their families. Because of the virus, we couldn't make that trip, so we figured out another way of doing it. And so the Department of Corrections gave us the opportunity to communicate with every inmate in state prisons who wanted to hear the message that we conveyed to them. And then we decided that there were a lot of men on the outside who had done outstanding work as fathers. So we organized a way to give each one of them a certificate of appreciation and some shaving lotion.
And that of course was the this
and
weekend.
Some razor blades.
Good.
And razors, and they drive by in their car, and so 200 plus of these lined up in their cars, drove by a spot where we had, and we just give them their certificate. Many of them got out, and we took a photograph with them, because fatherhood is so important to the continuation of our society, and we wanted to let fathers know that. And that's what we did on yesterday, and we had a wonderful time doing it, and we're just grateful that we had the opportunity to do it.
That was fantastic. Of course, it kicked off this weekend, Black Fathers Matter, and of course the census event sponsored by Congressman Danny Davis. I say you're an iconic political figure here in the Chicagoland area. You're definitely a blessing, and you have helped so many people and touch so many lives, and we appreciate the service that you provide not only to the local communities but the entire city of Chicago and the state of Illinois for the work that you do as a Illinois congressman. I got to ask you regarding what's going on with this pandemic and the fact that, Major League Baseball are trying to figure things out. I believe I just got a notification that they're still fighting over the 60 games, and I don't know if that's going to happen. But as far as Chicago is concerned, moving forward regarding the next stage and the next phase, do you see Chicago potentially opening up? We know the Chicago Blackhawks over at the United Center, get back to halfway normalcy with some players going over there to work out. But do you see things unfolding here in the Chicagoland area regarding sports where players are going to get back to some sort of normalcy, and maybe that we'll get a glimpse of some baseball, we'll get an opportunity to see some football, some hockey, and even some NBA basketball? How do you see things unfolding?
I'm very optimistic. I mean, I'm a great sports enthusiast, but I'm a health person first.
Mm-hmm.
Health is wealth, and we've got to get the virus arrested. And as of right now, the only remedy that we have is to try and not be in these big crowds, to do social distancing, to wear a face mask and cover yourself so that you're not spreading anything. But I think we're on our way. And see, in my district alone, there are 24 hospitals. I have 24 hospitals in my district. So we talk health every day. Health is you can't do without it. So let's get the virus arrested. Then let's open up the economy. And I think we're going to do that. We're going to arrest it. We're going to open the economy. We're going to get back to a level of what I call normalcy. Both the White Sox and the Cubs are going to win pennants. The Bulls are on their way back. We got the two guys over with the Bears, and we're going to have a great year.
Well, I love your optimism.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
This is Dan Marver. I'm one of your namesakes. I'm here in the studio. I was just going to ask you. I mean, you're running for re-election this year, aren't you?
I've run my primary.
Yeah.
Generally, if you win a primary in Chicago, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. You're like me. I'm a little bit up there in years. I mean, you're a youngster at 78. So, have you been concerned about participating in any activities in Washington with the virus out there?
No, I'm actually leaving tomorrow because I have a committee to chair on Tuesday, and I want to do it from there as opposed to doing it virtually from here. It will be virtual, but I'm going to Washington tomorrow. We try and observe as many of the rules as we can observe. And like I said, health is so vitally important until if you don't have it, you can have everything else in the world, and it still doesn't do you any good. So we want people to be as health conscious as possible, but we're going to lick this virus business. We've got great institutions in Chicago trying to find a cure and a remedy. All these great universities and medical schools, research institutions that we've got, we're going to be all right. So a little bit of patience until the timing is correct is what we need, and I think we're going to do it. I spoke with Mr. Reinsdorf the other day, and I told him that I was certain that he was going to have a good year with the Bulls because we got this young talent. We're going to be all right. We're going to be fine.
Well, and what did Mr. Reinsdorf say when you told him that?
He says, you come and get a front row seat at the first playoff game.
Right.
Well, I hope that we get an opportunity to see some basketball. I know there's cases down in Florida. They're supposed to open up at Disney World, the NBA.
Just have 22 teams, though.
Yeah.
not the Bulls.
Yeah, well, the Bulls aren't a part of that. Yeah, but I mean, I'm hoping that we can get, back, as we talked about, to some sort of normalcy. But real quick, and we appreciate your precious time on this Father's Day for coming on board and joining us. Regarding the pandemic and the virus, we understand that the numbers are escalating in the black and brown community. And one thing you preached just right now, being on the show, is health. And we know that in the black and brown communities, here in the Chicagoland area in particular, the south and west sides, that health is definitely an issue. It's always been an issue for our people. What kind of message, because of the diabetes and the hypertension and the heart conditions, the obesity, what kind of message can you send out, and are you sending out to the black and brown people to say you have to be extra careful about your dieting and your exercising, because this virus, it preys on the vulnerable when you talk about health?
Let me tell you, you're doing as good a job talking about health as you do talking about sports. You are absolutely correct, especially for those most vulnerable populations, but quite frankly, for all populations. And we've got to put more resources into health care. We've got to do a better job of health education. We've got to make sure that people have access and that they have a way to pay for it. And those are things that we've got to do across the board. I really appreciate your sensitivity to that matter and the fact that you raised it and continue to raise it. And I thank you for being with you.
Hey, I thank you as well. And the reason we bring it out, because, our motto here at the Rewind Sports 60, Congressman, is real sports, real talk, just playing real. And it's easy to, try to take people's minds off of what's going on and get back to sports. But as you know, and we're living and we're experiencing, it's captivated the sports world as well. And so health, like you said, is the number one. That's the number one thing that we need. Without it, we're almost useless. And so we have to continue to convey the message and share it and get it out there, because it's vital and it's important. And we have to be smart, we have to be safe, and we have to be diligent in trying to find a remedy for this.
Well, thank you so very much. It was good hearing Fergie Jenkins, but I enjoyed the show. I even listen every once in a while. I believe in being cosmopolitan.
Well,
you can't just stick around some things. You got to be somewhat comprehensive.
Make sure you tell your friends.
Well, Congressman, thank you for being a fan, and it won't be the last time you're going to be on the Rewind Sports 6. We appreciate your support. We love what you're doing, and we'll certainly be in contact. And stay safe, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
He's the best. I love this man. Yeah. Congressman Danny Davis on our TR60 hotline of the 7th District, Congressman, 7th District of Illinois, Chicagoland area. This guy he's phenomenal. And he's doing great work. And I commend him for recognizing and identifying, those fathers out there who are doing a great job. And we appreciate him taking some time on his Father's Day to join us.
I just want to mention this portion of the Rewind Sports 60 is brought to you by the Liquor Barn, located in Wheeling and Niles. Stop by 2870 Dundee Road in Wheeling or 8170 Gulf Road in Niles for all your wine and spirits needs. The Liquor Barn is located in Wheeling and Niles. Tell Marcel and Tom in Wheeling that the Rewind Sports 60 told you to stop in and say hello.
Please stop on over there. Those guys are great. I haven't seen them in a few weeks. The pandemic has definitely kept us isolated.
Right. I've been located working in Des Plaines. I pass by that Niles location all the time. So I should stop in myself.
Stop in and say, hey, the Rewind Sports 60 sent you. I sent myself over here.
Yeah, right.
Tell them.
Like I will. I hope Danny Davis tells his friends to listen to the show, too. I wanted to mention one other thing. When I think of Fergie, this is unbelievable. He started 594 games and completed 267, almost half of them.
Unbelievable.
I mean you would never see that again.
No, you will never see that again. And that's why he is one of a kind. And he's always He's always welcome on the program. He is a friend of the program. Ladies and gentlemen, this portion of the Rewind Sports 60 is sponsored by Serenello's Restaurant de Italiano in Wheeling. Now, as part of our ongoing effort to slow the community transmission of COVID-19, Serenello's, they're permitted to reopen just like everyone else. Serenello's is open to provide delivery and carry-out options, but also you can go over there and grab yourself a table. They got it all set up in the parking lot over there. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic place right there on the corner of Milwaukee Avenue and Lake Cook Road. Deliver, curbside menu, carry out menu, order delivery. Serenello's, give them a call. 847-777-6878. 847-777-6878. Serenello's in Wheeling. Tell Michael Bonner, the chef over there, I wish them happy Father's Day today that we sent you guys on over there. I'm gonna have my Father's Day dinner.
Yeah.
Serenello's
tonight.
They're going to take care of me.
Yeah,
I'm getting the.
If all goes well, they might be open inside in a week, according to Phase 4.
Exactly.
That's when I'll go inside.
I think I'm getting the filet mignon tonight.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm getting the filet mignon. My family's They did a great job for me. I don't know. I'll share real quick. We had a great time today. The girls woke me up and say, Dad, they made the reservations. Top Golf. I don't know if you've heard of it. I don't know if you've ever been there, but Top Golf out in Schaumburg.
Wow.
They took me over there for Father's Day, hung out there and teed off. It was a lot of fun, and we only had. They called. My daughters called for the reservation, and we couldn't make a reservation because they were full, so to speak. But we get on over there. It was a 15-minute wait, and we got there probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock. By the time we left after 1 o'clock, there was a 2-hour wait to get in that place.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Right now, there are probably real long waits everywhere.
Yeah, it is. But we want to say, hey, thanks to Serenello's, everyone. You get on over there, tell Chef Michael Bonner, yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver, said hello. But if you're out and about in the Chicagoland area, the city and the surrounding suburbs, hey, support local. Support local. If you have to order out, if you carry out, you can dine out. Mm-hmm. But support local. We got our guys, Gale Street Inn. Yeah. George and his crew, they got it all set up in their parking lot as well as far as dining out, and got they got everything set up, the umbrellas, the tables, the chairs, and everything. So Gale Street Inn, just down the street on Milwaukee here in Jefferson Park. They've been there for years. George does a fantastic job, one of our great sponsors here. Go on down there, order yourself something. Get the ribs. They just fall off the bone. They're unbelievable.
I've been on patios the last 3 nights, but none of them are sponsors, so I won't mention them. One other funny thing. When you mentioned Dick Allen, do you remember how he used to draw in the dirt by first base? He'd write boo or October 2nd, which was going to be his last day with the Phillies or things. He was a character, too.
Yeah, he was. He was. If you miss any portion of the Rewind Sports 60, I got to tell you, you can watch us on Facebook. Say hello to us. YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, LinkedIn, and Twitch. That's right, the Rewind Sports 60. And if you miss any portion of the show, be sure to look out for the continuous replay broadcasts throughout the week. Again, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, LinkedIn, and Twitch. Catch us on Comcast Access in the northern suburbs of Chicago every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on channels 17, 19, and 35. And hey, don't forget to check out our website, therewindsports60.com. That's therewindsports60.com. And, of course, TRS60.com. It's the Rewind Sports 60. WCPT. Fastest hour in sports conversation. Thanks to the Marvelous One. Any last thoughts before we get out of here?
I'm looking forward to being on the show without a mask someday.
Well, we're all looking forward to it, Marvelous. We certainly are. But it's better to be safe than sorry.
That's right.
To all you dads out there, your fathers, enjoy the rest of your Father's Day. Hope you have a great Father's Day meal. If you haven't decided on anything, check out Serenello's if you're in the northern suburbs, or you can check out Petorino's, I believe, downtown on Randolph and Dearborn. But any of the Let Us Entertain You restaurants will serve you very, very well. On behalf of the Marvelous One, Dan Marver, and of course the producer, Devin Tingle, yours truly, Jerry Riles, like to say thank you to our guests, Ferguson Arthur Jenkins, and of course the great Congressman Danny Davis. Have a great and safe rest of your Father's Day weekend. Have an enjoyable week. We see you on the radio, see you on social media, see you on the tube. Take care, everybody.
rewindsports60.com. The rewindsports60.com. Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. The rewindsports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
Take me out to the ball game, Hall of Famer Andre Dawson.
All right. Let's hear it from the greatest fans ever. On three. 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back Forest Root. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Hey, let's get some runs. Thank you.
Still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh,